Welcome to Unfold Data Science. My name is Aman and I am a data scientist. In this video, I am going to build an end-to-end generative AI application using AWS Bedrock. We will do all these steps in live demo through this video, and I request you also do with me so that you can also learn all this stuff. But before going on to the video, guys, if you have still not subscribed to Unfold Data Science, please press the subscribe button and also the bell icon. We are about to reach 100k. So let's celebrate that. Let's try understanding the key topics for this session. So I'm going to explain you from scratch what is Bedrock and give you a demo of Bedrock. Then it is important for you to understand project architecture. So I'm going to explain you this as well in detail. And I'm going to explain you end-to-end flow with Python code and how the entire thing is working. And since this is a very interesting project, I'm also going to make a part 2 if you are interested. So I'm saying make it even better on demand. So if you give me like 100 plus likes or 25-30 plus comments, right, I will create a part 2 of this that will be even more interesting. First of all, without even going into Bedrock, what is that I'm trying to do? So imagine there is a company and there is a call center for that company. So I'm calling call center. So in this call center, there will be customers who will be making the calls, right? So suppose this is a customer and this customer makes a call to the call center and some discussion happen and some response comes, right? Some resolution or whatever comes. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to utilize a audio file. So I'm trying to utilize a .mp3 file. So imagine this .mp3 file as the conversation between a customer care agent and the customer. Once you have this .mp3 file, what I want to do is I want to make this .mp3 file as a .txt file. Fine. And if you are aware of AWS services, then you must be knowing what service in AWS can be used for converting mp3 file to txt file. You can comment me, you can pause this video and comment me. Once I have this txt file, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass this to LLM and I'm going to ask for key issues of the customer. Key issues of customer. So what I'm going to do is my starting point is going to be this mp3 file. I'm going to use a Amazon service, convert it to .txt. This txt file I'm going to format a bit, pass it to LLM, and I'm going to ask LLM to summarize in a particular format the key issues of that conversation. So I'm going to use couple of services, not couple of many services of AWS for this purpose. So the question I asked you here, what is used in AWS to convert MP3 to TXT? I can use a service called transcribe in AWS. I will be using S3 for storing my audio file and also the transcription. I will be using large language model because I have to use large language models. So I'll be using Amazon Bedrock. Okay. And since I am doing all this from my local machine through SDK, I will be using AWS CLI. So these are primary components that I'll be using in my code. And what are the prerequisites to do this with me is basically you should know how to do basic CLI setup. And if you do not know how to do basic CLI setup, right, I highly recommend you to go to Unfold Data Science and search for Unfold Data Science AWS CLI. Here you will find a video called AWS command line interface. Just watch this video and do the basic CLI setup. What will happen if you do this is you will be able to run the code which I am running now. Otherwise, you can watch now and do later also, but you need the basic CLI setup. And remember, once you do the CLI setup for the user, to that user, you should give access to transcribe S3 and Bedrock. So just one more time, I'm saying, when you do your AWS CLI setup, watching this video, you will be doing it for a user. To that user or to that role group, if you're creating through some role groups, right? You have to give access to transcribe, you have to give access to S3, and you have to give access to Bedrock. All these things I have explained in detail how to give access, how to add access in my AWS playlist. You can simply search Unfold Data Science AWS playlist and you will know all these concepts. So there is no point repeating that. Now, what I'm going to cover now is what is basically Amazon Bedrock. So let's go ahead to AWS console and let me try to show you what is Bedrock. So as you can see, Bedrock is one of the AWS service which it is written that Bedrock supports over 100 foundation models from industry leading providers and emerging leaders. Select a serverless model or Bedrock marketplace. So basically it gives you a lot of models to use, the LLM models or foundation models, and you can use in your applications. So few things about AWS Bedrock, you can click on these providers and you can see from this company, there are 5 models, from Amazon 13 models, from Anthropic 9 models, from Meta 9 models. So for example, if I go to Meta, I'll be able to see all the Meta models here and I can use those models in my application. Remember, to using that model, two conditions should be satisfied. One, the user which is trying to use that model should have the access to Bedrock, one. And second, your model should be enabled here. So for example, if you go model access here, right? So if you see my models are here, it's loading now, but if you see access granted, in your case, if you're doing it for first time, you can simply say modify model access and you can simply say, grant my access. It's free of cost. Don't worry about it. The access will be granted to you. Two prerequisites. First, you should access grant to the models. Second, whichever user you are trying to access model from in Python, that user should have access to AWS Bedrock. Full access you give it. Don't worry. Okay. Now, once you have these two things, what you can do is you can start playing around with these models. So I was in this provider section, I was in this meta section. And for example, any meta model, if I go here, right, you will see a format here. Through that format, we can call that model through an API. So it is loading those 9 models. So for example, Llama 3.2 90 billion vision, right? So this model, what I can do is it will give me a format to call the API of this model, and I can use that and utilize that model in my Python. So in your Python, if you want to run anything, I have opened a blank notebook here. You will need package import boto3, I'm saying, and most important package import boto3 for calling those models or anything AWS service, and import JSON because a lot of communication will happen through JSON. So for example, this is the format of this model. This is the template through which I can call this model. For example, I can go here. This is the template through which I can call this model. But I'm going to show you one end-to-end example now. So let me go and try to bring in some code which will actually call a model. I'm simply going and saying here, this is basically from AWS documentation only. So import Boto JSON I have done. This is just to show you how Bedrock works. Okay. So Boto core exception client error. Don't worry about this. You can create a Bedrock runtime in AWS region. So I'm creating a Bedrock client here. Then this is the model I'm using. You can give your model. This is the prompt. Describe the purpose of hello world in one line. These are some of the native requests. For example, maximum tokens temperature. As I told you, through JSON, we will be creating the request. And then you can simply say client.invoke model. So you will get a response. And this is exception block. And this response will come as the payload. You can simply decode this using response text. So if I run this, right, you will see that my AWS is working fine. A hello world program is a simple explanation, whatever is the response from the model, which means that my setup is working proper. So for your setup to work proper, do the AWS CLI setup. And as I told you, give that user access to Bedrock, then it will work fine. Okay. Now this was just to show you how the Bedrock works basically, but I'm going to delete this. So you can simply take it from AWS documentation also. It's a simple thing. The project which I spoke about, right? I will take a audio file and I will try to transcribe it through transcribe and then find the summary through LLM. So let me start my code here. And as you can see, I'm importing some packages and Boto3 unique user ID, UUID basically. I want to create a unique ID. Then time, JSON, and template for I want to show you something in the template. So that template, okay. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to just tell you there is a sound clip in my computer basically. So this is a 2 minutes 51 second sound clip. If I play this, right, this is a conversation between a customer and an agent. Okay, so you can hear this. I will give you this sound as well. You can hear this. This is a conversation between a customer and the agent. I'm pausing this now. What I will do is I will take this and I will transcribe it using AWS transcribe service. So how to do that? So first of all, what I need to do is I need to store this in cloud, right? For storing this in cloud, what I need to do is I need to create or use any existing S3 bucket and store it. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to say this is my cloud storage client, S3 client, reason US is 1, just initialization of a S3 client. Fine. Then I'm going to give a bucket name. So bucket name is gen I UFDS2. This bucket I already have in my UFDS. You can create if you don't have. Once you have that, I can give a file name, which is my dialog3, dialog mp3. And I'm going to call a function to upload my file into S3. Remember, this line is important. To upload this mp3 file in S3. So cloud storage is my client. Okay. Through cloud storage, I'm saying upload file. I'm giving file name. I'm giving bucket name. I'm giving file name. So this will work. Okay. And then what we are going to do is we are going to convert speech to text. Okay. So for speech to text, right, I'm going to import a transcribe. So if you want to see the file, right, you can also see in S3. Let me show you. So we can go to S3 and we can see that file that I uploaded just now. Okay. So as I told you, I have a bucket called UFDS Gen AI UFDS2. So let's see that bucket. Okay. So let it load in S3 and this is my bucket. Okay. In this bucket, if you see dialog mp3, right, this is my file that I uploaded just now, fab 9 2025 1454. This is what I uploaded just now. Fine. Now I uploaded that. So I'm initializing a transcribe client. Why? Because I have to convert speech to text. So I initialize that client. And then what I have to do is I have to initialize a transcribe job. So if I don't initialize a transcribe job, right, this is basically a unique identifier for my transcribe job. So what is the use of transcribe job? It will help me to transcribe my mp3. So that is the reason I imported UEID4 on the top to have a unique identifier for my job. Fine. Now what I want to do is I want to define my job, transcribe job. So if you see here, I'm saying speech to text dot start transcribe job. Transcription job name is job name. Job name is basically this name. Media file is basically my S3 location that I showed you now. Media format is MP3. Language code of my file is this. Show speaker labels is true because there are speakers in my I want the speakers in my transcription file and there are two speakers. So I'm defining my transcribe job like this. And when you define a transcribe job, right, it can have multiple statuses. For example, it can be in progress, complete, or not started, like that. So what I'm saying here is if my transcription job is in completed or failed, then break. Okay. Otherwise, it is trying to convert. Okay. So if I run this, right, when my transcription job is completed, it will simply tell me completed. For example, it is telling me your transcription status is completed. Completed means my job is completed. So my transcription is done, which means my audio file is converted to text file. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do some cleaning on my transcribed file. Okay. And don't worry about this. This is basically cleaning the text file that I'm going to show you the text file also. But first, let's see what has happened here. Okay. What I'm saying here is load the transcription from the cloud storage. So transcription key, I'm saying this.json. Transcription object is get object, bucket name, and key is transcription key. So if you see here, right, transcription key is the key name. Okay. So transcription key is what we are giving. And here I'm trying to read the conversion that has been done. Okay. And then JSON file I will get. And then output text, I'm starting from blank. Previous speaker is none because basically I'm parsing the transcription file. Okay. And then item in transcription items, what I'm doing is I'm getting the speaker level and basically trying to get a text file out of it. So there are two speakers. Okay. So how it will transcribe is speaker one, speaker two, speaker one, speaker two. So here I'm just trying to segregate what one speaker is talking, what another speaker is talking. So if speaker level not in speaker level 1, then punctuation removal is happening. Basically line is preparing. Okay. And then from the cloud, I'm trying to get the file in the local. Okay. So now I'm going to show you how the file is looking like. But before that, let me try to initialize the Bedrock runtime because I'll be using LLM for summarization. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the file, that is transcribe file.read. So this txt file is my transcription file. So if I have to print this, right, job name is this, and if I take this and do a .txt, right, you will be able to see the transcribed file that was previously in my S3, and now it is in my local. So let me print it here, print transcript, because it is trying to read that file. Okay. So this is the file that has been transcribed. So speaker, hi, this is Crystal Heights Hotel in Singapore. Yes, it is. How may I assist you? So basically speaker 0, speaker 1, speaker 0, speaker 1 conversation is happening. Okay. So this is a file that is there in my local now. What I can do is I can use LLM. I can use LLM and I can summarize that. And to use the LLM, right, what I have done is I have imported the Bedrock client here, if you can see here in this line. And now I'm going to give a prompt to the Bedrock client and say that from that file, I want the summarization in a particular format. For example, this is my prompt. Okay. So prompt template.txt I'm trying to create. I need to summarize a conversation. The transcript of the conversation is between data and XML tags. So here the transcript variable is my chat, basically conversation. Okay. The summary must contain word sentiment analysis, list of issues during the conversation. The output must be derived in JSON format. What is the overall sentiment? What is the topic and what is the issue? So basically this is my prompt. Okay. So prompt template.txt is my prompt basically, which will go to the LLM. And now what we can do is we can just store that in a template string. So if I have to print this template string, right? So you can see this, my prompt template is here, but it still needs that variable. So to prepare it, right? So data is this, data is basically that transcript, and template will be template class. We will call that with template string. Okay. So basically that help you to create the template. And then prompt is equal to template.render data. So here what we can do is we can simply see after we supply the variable how my prompt is looking like. So I'm completely giving my information here. Then I'm saying what is that I want, what is the example output that I want in. So now we have the LLM ready, we have the prompt ready. So what we can do is we can simply call that model, invoke that model basically with a example. Okay. So here what I can do is I can give a model ID Amazon Titan text express v1 content type. So input type is prompt and then some configuration. This is another way in which uh, you can get your model. After the model has been invoked, what we can do is we can simply parse this response and we can see what is there in the response. Okay. So my model is currently running, as you can see star here. And then I'm going to parse this. So for example, I'm saying Bedrock runtime. So model has been invoked, so no need of this. And then JSON.load response.get is read, get body read, and then output text. I'm trying to see what is the output text. So what is output text I should expect here is basically from that conversation, what has been the categories of issue and what has been the issue. So as you can see here, sentiment is neutral. Issue is topic price. The guest is concerned about 1,000 pre-authorization hold on their credit card. Some information is coming. Topic additional charge. The guest is informed about 10% service charge, 7% fantasy tax applied to the room rate. So again, what we did end to end is we started with the audio file. We used AWS transcribe to convert it to text. Text was in S3 bucket. We took it to the local. We formatted it. After formatting, we used a Bedrock service. Through the Bedrock service, we came up with this kind of response through the prompt engineering. Okay, this is a complete flow, but one more thing we can add on top of here is we can make it event driven. So the meaning of that is at the moment some mp3 file is uploaded into S3 bucket, this script should trigger. That also we can do. Let me know if you want me to do that. I can create a separate video on that. Till then, give me a thumbs up if you like the content. Wherever you are, stay safe and take care.